you are a leader, you are a leader, rising right out the ranks. You're a leader, lessons will teach you just how to reach your endless ambitions. Oh yeah, look at yourself in the mirror, turn that frown upside down. Show what you're working with. You can't depend on someone else to see your future. That part is up to you. Be a leader. You are a leader. You are a leader. Rising right up the ranks. You're a leader.
All right. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are, especially where Amy Shelwin, our legend, she's on the West Coast time. So she's definitely good morning. But good morning, good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to Legends and Leapers. This is our monthly virtual program where we pair a industry legend with an industry leaper to talk about their careers, experiences, and kind of see what the contrasts are. And basically, it's a great virtual playground for Lauryn and Ricky to kind of have their druthers and take shots, if not at one another, then at the panelists. So I won't say that as much. But before we get to that, to the wonderful guests that we have today, my name is Ramon Lowe. I'm the Director of Membership and Industry Engagement with the Airport Minority Advisory Council. And just a couple of housekeeping notes that I'd like to share with you. One, renewing members. We just released our membership renewals, I believe, last week. And we've been sending notices out for the last, since last Tuesday, I believe. If you have gotten or received that renewal notice, please go ahead and renew. This will allow you not only just to become a member of AMAC and all the wonderful things that we offer, but will also grant you the ability to be eligible to get the early bird registration rate for our conference in August, which will be in Nashville at the Grand Hyatt. So please make sure you renew your membership from the link in the email that we just sent. Secondly, I just mentioned the conference, the Airport Business Diversity Conference, which again is going to be August 3rd to 4th to the 7th. Sorry, let me back up. August 3rd to the 7th in Nashville. Thank you, Lauryn, for that. You can register now. Go to amac-org.com/annual conference. And from there, you can obviously read up on the agenda once it's published. You can choose one of many sponsorships that we still have available, but also register for the event. Now, something you guys need to be very much aware of, because people are going directly to the host hotel and realizing that we are sold out. No, we are not sold out. And here's the reason. You must register for the conference first. Once you register, you will be emailed a link that will take you to our AMAC portal page for the hotel, and there you will be able to book any rooms basically within our block, and you'll also see our hotel conference rate. So please make sure you register first. That way you get the automatic email that will give you a link to reserve your room. Those are pretty much the only announcements that I have. So enough from me. I want to turn it over to Miss Lauryn Mangum Reid and Ricky Smith and our wonderful guests. Take it away.
Well, Ramon, you were fine until the end. You screwed up again. I'm first, not Lauryn.
Age before beauty.
Right. I was just distracted because I saw one of those little messages that said AI assistant. And so we're now inviting AI to these sessions now. Okay. I guess we're growing up, huh? So anyway, good afternoon or good morning to you all. It's good to have you here at this edition of Legends and Leapers. I always get excited about these because it gives me a chance to act out of character. That's right, Lauryn, act out of character. I'm normally a very nice guy. You bring out you bring it out. Let's leave it at that. So before I turn it over to Lauryn, just in case some of you are confused, I have on this nice yellow tie. This is a Sean John, or however you pronounce it, branded tie. This is Lance Little's tie, right? This is not my tie. I'm only wearing it because I want to remind Lance that he has to take this tie back off my hand. He asked me to hold it for him for a few days, and he refuses to take it back. So Lance, this is your tie. Please come get it. It comes with a knot too. I don't know what kind of knot this is. I think this is I don't know, what is this? Just a I don't know, a Jamaican knot or some kind of knot. So anyway, that being said, Lauren, I'll turn it over to you so you can get this thing going. I think you have a couple people to introduce.
I'm just gonna let you keep going. I didn't know if you were gonna tell us about the specifics of the tie, as far as is it a polyester blend? Is it cashmere? Is it sateen? You know, its origins. I wasn't sure where this was going. So I was just gonna let it ride, Ricky. So
The word is specificity. Okay.
and thank you. You know, you left me speechless and tongue-tied with your tie introduction. So let's get into introductions that are a little bit more important. Our panelists. I am super excited to have Rochell and Amy on. I'm actually going to start with Rochell today. We're going to start with our leaper. All right. So Rochell Akins is a Kansas City native. And if you were wondering between Kansas City, Kansas and Kansas City, Missouri, she was born in one and lives in Missouri. Okay. So with a passion for fostering DEIA, she holds a Bachelor's of Business Administration Management from Baker University. Embarking on a new chapter in Richmond, she's excited to contribute her skills and knowledge as a DBE compliance coordinator at the Capital Region Airport Commission, RIC. Her dedication to encouraging diversity and inclusion plays a pivotal role in ensuring compliance and promoting equity in airport contracting opportunities. Her love for diversity began during her professional tenure with MGM Hotel and Spa. Overcoming challenges related to language barriers and diverse cultural backgrounds, she was able to enhance her strategic thinking, communication, and adaptability skills. In her pursuit to professional advancement, she transitioned into financial services at DST Systems, progressing steadily, and she attained a management position. During her career, she garnered global recognition as a top 5% talent performer. And as a top talent mentee, she participated in developmental meetings aimed at increasing awareness of inclusivity and diversity, fostering a healthier work culture in Kansas City. She is actively engaged with Kansas City, Kansas Juneteenth Committee, works closely to impart knowledge and celebrate the historical moment. Additionally, she volunteered with the Kansas City Big Brothers and Big Sisters program as a mentor. Raised in a strong faith, she has participated in Red Circle Girls and has learned the importance of bonding and uplifting of other women. Additionally, she has contributed to a missionary group, organizing and providing support to the community with a commitment to remembering that those who are less fortunate. She's enthusiastic about opportunities that are awaiting her in Richmond and excited to connect and explore and contribute positively, fostering diversity and making a meaningful impact. That was like really nice. Amy Shaw is our legend. And I had to tell Amy said, is it because I'm older? I said, no, Amy, it's because you're seasoned. And you guys are quickly gonna see why Amy is our legend. So her career began, and I'm starting off with the year. Her career began in 1974 with the city and county of Denver, working on various departments in public works. In 85, she was assigned to the Affirmative Action Office at Stapleton International Airport to ensure the airport certification, DBE goal setting, and monitoring programs complied with the DOT and FAA regulations. In 93, Amy joined the airport property office and was assigned to work with the new Denver airport planning team, where she worked with internal departments, consultants, regulatory agencies, and industry peers in developing a new concessions and car rental program. After the opening at Denver International in February of 95, Amy rejoined the airport business office as the manager of concessions. In 2004, she relocated from her hometown to Seattle, Washington, where she served as the manager of aviation, commercial business for the Port of Seattle SeaTac Airport. And she was assigned to develop the concessions program for the Concourse A and Central Terminal expansion programs, negotiate with concessionaires impacted by the security checkpoint expansion, and manage day-to-day operations. From 2008 to 2010, Amy was the Deputy Executive Director, Manager of Concessions Development for LAWA, which is Los Angeles World Airports, to create a concessions program for 9 separate terminals. In 2011, she relocated to Las Vegas to retire, but we all know how retiring in this industry goes. She joined the Clark County Department of Aviation, McCarran International Airport, as the DBE ACDBE liaison officer, where she managed the compliance programs and developed an outreach program with local chambers, business, and community organizations, and served on the Nevada Commission of Minority Affairs. In 2016, she became the manager of concessions, managing concessions, car rental, ACDBE, DBE certification, small business programs, and worked with a consultant to complete a 5-year disparity study. From mid-03 until March 2024, in preparation for Amy's retirement, she continued her career under several different titles, including Airport Concessions Manager and Chief Diversity Officer of Airport Manager Strategies. So if you guys don't know Amy, basically what I just read is it took her 20 years to prepare for her retirement. And I think she's kind of sort of getting there, but super excited to welcome both Amy and Rochell on the Legends and Leapers to get to know you guys a little bit more and for people to really hear maybe some stories or some things that they didn't otherwise know about you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks for those introductions, Lauren. So if the ladies are ready, we'll jump right in to the questions. Lauren will try to ask questions as well. We'll see if she can get them in. So my first question is, so if you can just think of one word, and I know, you ladies didn't rise to your level of success by, being compliant all the time, but if you can try to be compliant this time and just give me one word that describes you best, and then why does that word describe you best?
I can go adaptable. So working in the financial service industry, you are bound by government regulations, whether it's FINRA or the SEC. You have the New York Stock Exchange, and we're constantly adapting to that volatile market. And so I had to learn to be quick, be critical, but be a problem solver. So being adaptable is probably my greatest strength. So that's one word.
All right.
And I guess for me, the word would be flexible, along the lines of what was just said. You have to be able to address challenges and changes and make things work. So you just need to maintain that flexibility.
So my next question was actually, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I didn't know we were playing double dutch, Ricky. Can I get in? Can I get in there? No, yeah. So it's funny because Ricky said, I know you guys didn't get to where you are by being compliant. And then he didn't realize that he was talking to 2 DBE officers. And compliance is what you do. But with that being said, Amy, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I appreciate you because you are we've been doing Legends and Leapers for what, Ricky? 4 years now? Going on 4 years?
Going on 4 now, yes.
Wow, I've been putting up with you for a while. So
That's been suffering for
Amy, you are probably one of the first bios that I've read that I could visualize the timeline, right? And you have the dates in there. So we're not going to get too into the weeds with the dates themselves, but you've been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know, and going back to kind of what Ricky said, I want to know, what were the challenges that you faced? Also, you're coming in the 70s, working under a DBE goal setting standpoint as an Asian American woman in this space. What challenges were you facing then?
By the way, that's nothing like the question I asked. I didn't ask that question.
You said compliant, and you said compliance. You haven't been compliant. Actually, no, this is what they do. So that brought me to you. You teed it up in a way that, it wasn't a good alley-oop, but I was going to slam dunk it anyway, Ricky. It's fine. Sorry, Amy. He didn't mean to interrupt you. Please go ahead.
I think the biggest challenge for me in the DB program was I had no knowledge about the DB program or federal regulations. So I was working for Public Works at the time, and I was called in and told, you're going to the airport. We have an office for you. We have somebody delivering a book for you, and you need to read that book. And that's all they told me. So I went out to the airport and I was handed the Code of Federal Regulations. At that time, it was all in a small book, a very thick book. And as I'm reading through it, I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I got called to the director's office and said, the DOT FAA has said that we are out of compliance because we don't have an affirmative action office at the airport. So we're putting you in charge of that airport to build a team and to make sure that the airport is compliant so that we're not jeopardizing our federal funds for construction projects. So I think that was a big challenge of trying to read federal regulations and not understanding the program. But then I think the blessing was that I had a lot of support. So being an Asian American, and especially being a female, working with the construction industry was a bit of a challenge, but the executive team at the airport was nothing but supportive. And they made it clear that they were to do whatever it was that I said to do. And I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing.
All right, boss lady.
So how did you overcome some of those challenges?
I contacted the FAA and got a lot of information and feedback and support from them. It was like starting from the ground level. So working with construction, figuring out what kind of projects they had, how we were going to set goals, what the process was to set goals, and then I included the construction industry, the minority and women business community. So it was a team effort. It didn't happen overnight. It was a team effort, and there were tough times, but it all worked out. It always seems to work out. You just have to really be dedicated to what you're doing, keep an open mind, and then work in partnership and as a team. And it always works out.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Amy. I really appreciate that. It's gonna segue into Rochell, but Ricky is double dutching, chomping at the bit to ask his question.
No, I'll hold my question. I'll let ladies first.
So, Rochell, like hearing that, right? And you've coming from the finance sector and then getting into aviation, what was that transition like for you? And with you being at within a regional airport, were there systems that you had to put into place, or was it kind of like, okay, let me figure this out, or was there structure already? What did that look like for you?
So my role is fairly new. So it is definitely a position where I'm coming in and learning, well, what does my day-to-day look like and how much work do I need to complete in a day? Like, are my hours actually fulfilled? So if I'm working an 8-hour shift, is it all audits and payments or contract review, or is it site visits? Like, how am I breaking up my day? And as I've gone through some of the contracts or the payment trails, I've noticed like, okay, maybe we need to do some implementations of what worked well for us on this contract and what did not work well, so that the next contract we do it a little bit better. And so it's just the stages of figuring it out as we're going, but also putting some strategic processes in place so the future looks better, whether I climb the ladder or stay in the row. But we always want to teach each other how to do things effectively and efficiently.
All right. Is it my turn, Lauren?
I'll save the rest of mine for later. Yes, Ricky.
Thank you. So first, amazing ladies on the screen. I'm so happy to be a part of this screen, including you, Lauren. I'm going to draw on comments that both of you made earlier. You said that you're adaptable and that you're flexible, and And Amy, I think you said it always works out, right? So as we look at all the attacks that we are experiencing on DEI programs, affirmative action programs, um, do you see these attacks and in some cases where states and organizations are beginning to peel back their affirmative action programs, do you see those as opportunities or threats? Given that, we should be adaptable and flexible and it always works out.
I think I can answer that one. I think it's an opportunity to educate. And when you have a support group like at Harry Reid Airport, where the executive team and the managers are supportive of DEI programs, they make it very clear. And when we do outreach, we don't just outreach with the local minority and women business community. We also outreach to organizations, contractor associations. And we go in and we have dialogue with them. So if they don't really believe in the program, you would think that they would say that, but they're, oh, wait a minute, those are my dogs. I'm sorry. Can you hear them?
Yes, we
It's
can
okay.
hear
Go
them,
ahead,
but,
Amy.
but
Okay.
they're trying to answer the question too, I guess.
So, during the sessions, we have open dialogue. And there have not really been any inappropriate comments or comments of non-support. It's more phrased as question of why the program exists. So as you have discussions, you talk about the challenges that minority and women businesses and small businesses face that the large businesses don't. We've actually turned some of those companies around. So it's almost like a mentoring program where we say, we want to take your expertise. And wouldn't it be great if you could, reach out and help a small local business to become part of your team when you bid? So it's just being flexible, adaptable, and having honest, heartfelt conversations. And the contractors know if they want to work at Harry Reid Airport, they have to comply, and they not just make a good faith effort, and not really try, but to truly do something different and unique to try to bring in companies. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it's your answer. It's a great answer, and I appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
Rochell?
Yeah, so I agree with Amy. It's definitely an opportunity to educate individuals that might not understand the program, but it is under threat. Anytime that there's a political climate where they look to decimate a program that is for minorities, for women, just under the consensus of they deserve more wealth for their their families. We're not looking at the common goal when we're attacking programs like this. And so I think it is important to have open conversations, but I think we have to be honest in the reality that the program is under attack and it's a threat to those that are advocating for the program to continue. So I see it both ways, but unfortunately, there are some folks that are just closed-minded.
All right. Do you have a follow-up, Lauren, or for my next one?
Oh, I thought we were gonna stay down that road. I didn't know if you were gonna keep going.
We can stay
Okay.
on this road.
I think given the current climate, let's stay here for a second.
Okay. So, we have our communities, we have a history of not being dependent on these programs, right? We also have a history that demonstrates that without these programs, we don't experience the same kind of advancement that that others may want to pretend we experience. So can the two of you, both of you are in compliance. Can you talk a little bit about why it is so necessary for organizations like AMAC to really fight against programs like this? You know, Rochell, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but can the two of you talk about, for our audience, because we may have members in our audience that don't really have an appreciation for why the fight is so important. Can you speak to it? Because both of you are technicians, right? Not just advocates,
Mhm,
but you're also technicians in the program.
mhm. Yeah, so to put it plainly, you have a contractor who has been in the business 25 years. He already knows who he's going to bring on his team. He has friends. He has sons, and they're going to utilize those resources before they decide to allow an opportunity for a minority or a female to come on a project. And so it's important for organizations like AMAC to advocate for those rights of those individuals that are underserved, because the climate that we currently have is I don't it's greed. Yeah, I don't want to share. I don't want to give up anything. And so we need organizations to push the narrative of the disparities that we see in these contracting opportunities, because we have contractors that are not making the good faith effort. It's just a box that they have to check off, right? And so compliance is important in that regard, because we're able to monitor it, to follow up, to make sure when you say that you're using an ACDBE or you're using a DBE, that they are fully participating, that you call them, they understand their responsibilities. But if that's not happening, not only is that the fault of the compliance person, but it hinders the program, because then we have results of, well, it doesn't work anyway. So it's very important that everybody does their role.
I agree. And with AMAC, the organization, you have an arm into the legislature and the governing or the politicians that can vote. And I think that's a very strong component of AMAC organization. As far as, and I agree that there are contractors that use their uh, companies they've used forever, whether it's family or friends. What we did was, when they come in and they don't meet the goal, but we see the history where they use the same company over and over again, and then they submit good faith effort. We have actually rejected the good faith effort, saying that it really wasn't a good faith effort, that when you're working on a public project with DBE goals and with federal funding, that you have to make a true effort. So after you reject a bid and you call and you have the low bidder interview and you explain that, and it goes back out to bid, it's surprising how much they change, how much their next bid comes in with participation. So whether they believe it or not, they're still complying. And there's some companies that are like that. You just want them to comply. They're going to have to provide the opportunities and demonstrate that they did, in fact, not just on paper, or have one of their friends or family subcontractors or suppliers submit a low bid, because we all know that bid shopping goes on. But it's the way that you review the bid documents and whether you accept them or not.
Okay, Lauryn, I have one more before I hand it off. So typically we don't ask questions that are like technical. That's normally not the nature of this program. But since we have two compliance experts, I'm gonna push the envelope a little bit and ask this question. So the FAA just issued a new rule, right, around the DBE and the ACDB program. So from your vantage point, can you name one aspect of the new rule that excites you, and one case where you think we missed the mark?
Um, One of the aspects I think that is good, is a positive, is more monitoring to make sure that prompt payments are being made, that bidders lists are being maintained, and it's up to the airports to make sure that that they're doing what they need to do in order to support the program and to support the business community and support the companies that were listed at bid time. One of the things that I'm a little concerned about that doesn't really have to do with DBE compliance is a reciprocity and certification, because there are different certifying agencies that look at things differently. Some are a little bit lax. I know when we've looked at some certification interstate applications, we've had some concerns, and you have to wait until you do the annual review in order to be able to dig down into that. And with no application being submitted or being required now, that's a bit of a concern for me. Although I'm not in certification anymore.
Okay. But it's still a concern.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think one of the things I enjoyed was the bidders list and the ACDBE participation list as well, just because we're able to collect that data. So we're able to see what it is that we're doing and if we're improving or where there are areas of opportunity. How much more can we break down this contract? So I'm happy about that rule. As far as like what I do not like, I have not gotten to that point yet, because I came in 4 months ago, so I was still learning the process, and then here we go, new rules. And so for me, it's a clean slate. So I'm starting in with just the what is out there, seeing how it's going to apply, how we can go ahead and change our program. The fact that small business participation is now a part of the program. I mean, there were some very good points and changes that got made. So I'm excited to see it develop.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm glad we went there, Ricky, and we're always shooting shots at each other, but I think we were definitely on the same page considering just we have two subject matter experts as it pertains to compliance, as it pertains to the DBE program. I think it was very important that we just spent a little bit of that time discussing this a little bit further, because it needs to be at the top of everyone's minds. And we have some new members on Legends and Leapers today, so welcome to you. Normally Legends and Leapers, we keep it pretty light, and we really get to know the individuals a little bit more. So I do want to spend the second half of our show doing just that. So, excuse me. With that being said, Rochell, you've been in this industry, a long, tedious, tough, rough 4 months.
Woo!
And we're always shocked when we hear someone that's like, oh yeah, I've wanted to be in the aviation industry since I was born, and this is what I was made for, and I went to an aviation elementary school. Like, we don't hear that, right? We always hear the winding road of how we got here. So I want to know a little bit, like, how did you get to where you are now? And then also, what have that experience been for you these past 4 months?
Oh, yeah. So when I went to school at Baker University, Dr. Julie Hickman, she is a diversity, inclusion, equity professor. And we talked about microaggression, and we talked about how the workplace culture, we just really don't understand it. And a lot of individuals in leadership don't know how to turn the culture around. And so it really made me say, I want to do something in diversity. And so when I moved and I was looking for a new career change, I just was like, let me see what the airport has, because they always have something, right? And so when I looked at the posting, I'm like, well, I could do that. Like, that doesn't seem hard. It's compliance. I didn't know it was outreach and engagement and, all the other things that flow into it. But I can say that I've enjoyed the benefit of connecting to the community, connecting to the aviation community. So it's like, the other day I was able to text someone in Texas and say, hey, I need some help. Like, do you have this information? And then as well as just locally, I'm able to say, like, who's in the business industry for restaurants? Like, who would you recommend to work out at the airport? And so it's definitely just a big networking pool. And I don't think you can find that in any other industry, from food and beverage, hospitality to financial services. You're just not going to have this network. So I've enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Hey, Amy, I have a similar question for you. You are again a little bit more seasoned than Rochell. In fact, I was talking to someone, I think we talked about a little bit. She saw that you were going to be on Legends and Leapers, and we happened to be at the same place in the same time. And she probably spent about 20 minutes just singing your praises about how amazing you are as an individual, how amazing you are just as a working boss woman in the industry. And I think, the chat has said the same thing. But you've been doing this for a little bit of time. What can you say? You talk about AMAC a little bit, but what has been like your greatest highs as far as the aviation industry? And throw some AMAC memories in there too if you have some.
Well, when we were at DIA building the new Denver International Airport, we hosted the AMAC conference. The building wasn't done yet. We couldn't have the the tour like you always have. And so we actually did a outdoor kind of a camping theme, the construction of the new Denver airport as a backdrop. And then, not knowing I was coming to Vegas, we hired entertainers. And so we had Elvis performing there. So that was such a fun event that we were able to sponsor with AMAC. And so there's a story about everybody. We had the spouses go up to Central City, which is gambling. And Leon Watkins' wife, we all know Leon, the infamous Leon Watkins, and Mrs. Watkins was on the spouse tour, and the bus broke down as they were coming back to town. So they flagged down a sheriff, and the sheriff came out, and Mrs. Watkins had some of her friends say, pretend to arrest us, which is so totally out of character for her. So the officer took a picture, the sheriff took a picture with them, and they had their hands behind their back. And that became the talk of the AMAC conference when they arrived. I guess the biggest high, though, for me was working in partnership and in collaboration with a lot of great experts in planning the concession program for a brand new airport. I think that was my biggest high. It was a lot of work. We put in a lot of hours. We worked at our regular duties during the day, and then about 3:00 in the afternoon till about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, we go down the hallway to this new area that they built for the new Denver Airport Planning Office. And we worked hard, but we had a lot of fun. So I would think that I would say that was probably the biggest high, and my biggest experience too.
Are you trying to say that Mrs. Watkins is the reason they don't do separate spouse events at the
Yeah, we were
at the conferences anymore?
Yeah. She's
they get into trouble, huh?
Yeah, she's a dignified, a true lady, and so we were all shocked that she would come up with something like that, and Leon even couldn't believe it.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, that's hilarious. We gotta add a separate spouse event to the conference this year, Ricky, and see what happens.
Yeah, fun spouses there. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It was a little safe. It was a little safer getting arrested back then than it is now.
Touche.
For sure.
So keeping it light, as Lauryn correctly reminded us. So a lot of us, if we're fortunate, if we're blessed, we get to have that experience that one might consider kind of living your best life, right? Whatever it is. Um, can you guys give us or walk us through that experience in your work life that you would consider living your best work life?
Well, that's a tough one. So when it comes to, I guess, living my best work life, just getting to a place where you find balance. I don't think in this role I could have did this position well and not necessarily carefree, but not taking it home if I hadn't gone through the turns and tribulations of corporate America. So coming here, I now understand like when that clock ends, have your time, and so I think it's very important that everyone take time for yourself, take care of yourself, because when you're, especially in compliance, you're always looking to solve a problem. You're always trying to figure out what went wrong, who you need to reach out to. You playing phone tag with people, and you can end up with a workload that you're just like, oh my goodness, I did not want my day to start like this or end like this. But I think just getting to a point where like, I could do this, I've done it, I'm good at it, and you could walk away and be okay to start again tomorrow. So that is probably the highlight of my work life.
So basically, Rochelle said, when I get off work,
I'm off.
that's
I work
when
Monday
I'm
through
living my
Friday.
best work life.
Monday through Friday, that's who I am.
5:30. My
That's
best
it.
work life starts as soon as
Yep,
I
That
leave the
is
5:30.
over,
office.
right?
Yep.
I guess for me, my best work life is working with people that are not just your coworkers, but they actually become part of your extended family. Um, and to have supportive executive teams, supportive managers, supportive team members, that's what makes work life good every day. And in those situations when you find out that you got into a situation that probably I don't know. There has been a time when I got into a work situation and then was trying to figure out every day why I got in that situation. Um, it's a still a good work life if you can take that and learn from it, and then look after yourself and be able to walk away.
All right. Thank you all for making that quirky question a legitimate question.
See, Amy, Rochelle hasn't experienced an AMAC conference yet. So we're going to ask her after August 7th the same question again and see what her answers are like.
Right,
She's
right.
still new to this. Amy's true to this, okay?
I heard y'all have a good time, but my friends call me grandma, so I'll be in the bed. y'all can do what y'all doing.
Oh, we're gonna work on that one. Rochelle, so you have not been to an AMAC conference. Is that true? Okay.
No.
And Amy, of course, you've been to AMAC conferences.
Yes.
And can you, so Rochelle, can you tell us what you expect when you arrive at an AMAC conference? And Amy, if you can share with her what makes an AMAC conference such an amazing experience.
Mhm. Well, I expect to learn a lot because I'm going to be taking the courses for the DBELO program, and also just the networking in itself. So we'll have an exhibit set up where we could talk about our contracting opportunities. But I also want to connect with some airports that are similar in size, just so we can understand where they are, some things that they're doing, how they're promoting community participation, just those different networking conversations that I can have with individuals. So I'm looking forward to it.
Mhm.
Um, the sessions that AMAC has are always so interesting and relevant to what has happened in the past year. So you're not going and hearing the same dated topics, but it's always changing. And then also to connect with peers in the industry is, I think, one of the best things about AMAC. And they make sure that you have the ability to connect in a business setting, but also in a fun setting as well.
Are you referring to the parties, Amy?
Yeah.
Oh, Amy's hanging out at the parties. Okay.
So Angela Booker said Rochelle is truly a leaper. She has learned the industry really quickly and is making her mark in compliance. She also mentioned that she's 30 years into the industry and can truly say that you're truly a leaper. So she's really happy that you're here. I think that had you not said you've only been doing this for 4 months, none of us would have known. Just the way, your knowledge coming into it is really impressive. So I'm excited just to have you here on this platform, especially as an emerging leader, as a leaper myself. So kudos to you, because 4 months in, I was still trying to get all the acronyms down. So you are doing a phenomenal job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And kudos to Angela for sending me the code of regulations on my way to vacation and saying, read this. So, and I wasn't even hired yet. So that's a whole nother story. But yeah, she's great. And thank you so much.
I think you will find icons like Amy scattered throughout the AMAC family who are selfless and willing to open their book and give you access to whatever knowledge, whatever experience they have. And that's the beauty of AMAC at a conference and AMAC beyond the conference. And so get ready for that, because now that you've been on Legends and Leapers, people know who you are, and there'll be everybody will want to have a role in your success, and be willing to give them a piece of it. And people like you, Amy, thank you so much for so much that you've done in the industry, right? We've been fighting a lot of battles, and you've been at the forefront, and we wouldn't be protecting a program today if it wasn't for people like you who helped bring the program to life. And so I just want to say that for the record.
Oh, thank you.
Truly a blessing. So I have a question, and this is going to look a little different for both of you, but Rochelle mentioned Angela Booker sending her over the regulations that she's going into vacation. Welcome to what is work-life balance. So who has been that person for you? Who has been that individual that's really, I don't want to say like held your hand, but really been a mentor and an integral part in your success thus far, Rochelle and Amy, just in your career and in your life?
So right now it would be Angela Booker. She's definitely the consultant. She keeps me on my P's and Q's. But I also have the support of Mr. Dr. Perry Miller, our CEO. He definitely sits down, communicates with me his expectations, how to execute the vision. And our CFO Basil, I've spoken to him as well. So I definitely have a open line of communication and transparency in order to be able to do my job and do it efficiently and well. So I have to give them where credit is due to those individuals.
For me, that's kind of a hard question, because at every airport, the directors have been great mentors and supporters. My direct managers have been as well. I think one of the things that I learned early in my career from the director in Denver was, we were sitting in a meeting talking about concessions, and everybody had an opinion of what they wanted. And the director asked back in the 70s, how many of you make more than $8,000 a year? He was the only one. How many of you travel more than 5 or 6 times a year, both for business and leisure? And he was the only one that raised his hand. And he told him, quite frankly, nobody cares what you want or what you think, because you are not the traveler that the airport is trying to provide services for. And that made me stop and think, because I never thought about that. Whenever you're talking to somebody about concessions, it's always I want, as opposed to this is what the travelers want, or that we need to do a survey and find out what the travelers want, or even talking to people. So that was a real big learning experience, which I think is really helpful early in my career.
So my last question, so now that you've both had the experience of being on Legends and Leapers, I mean, it's gonna blow up your careers and your profile. Yes, that's a Jamie Foxx term about blow up. Um, so what's your take? You came into this session with, I'm sure, a certain expectation or impression. What's your take on the tail end of it? This experience with Legends and Leapers. I know the stuff about Lauryn, you may not want. This is a recording, so you may not want to say the Lauryn part on the record.
Lauryn is nice. I
Oh
actually,
gosh,
I
I withdraw my question.
I enjoy the conversation. I think you always have the ability to learn from anyone, young, old, seasoned, um, because their perspective is going to be different and how they approach things will be different. And so I think having these conversations is very important to the community. And so I thank you guys for putting on a program such as this. This is great.
I agree, and I think that the young people that are coming on board, they're the travelers at the airports now. It's not the seasoned, um, that you really, the airport for the future really needs to listen to the younger people that are coming on board. I know that at Harry Reid, we hired people right out of university, and they're travelers. They travel a lot. They spend a lot of money in airports as well as at travel destinations. And it's important that they be provided with a voice in always changing, making changes, and incorporating new ways and new concepts into the airport. So I think it's important. Us old people are here to provide some history, and then give we can talk about stability, but I think it's the leapers that are going to take this on, to the new to new and more exciting airport programs.
Say it louder for the people in the back, Amy.
I'm sorry. Oh,
I appreciate what you just said. I was saying, say it louder for the people in the back.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, that made me chuckle. Ricky, you look like you have something.
Well, I think I was going to say, we when we embarked on this show, this is a product of the Emerging Leaders Committee, which Lauryn chairs and Maury Russell co-chairs. We came up with this because we thought that there would be in many cases, a divergence of opinion when we asked the same question to, a leaper and a legend. And what we've discovered is in many cases, there's commonality, right? Yeah, there's some difference, right? The more seasoned you are, the more wisdom influences your perspective, and the more the younger you are, you don't have the scar tissue of wisdom, right? So we thought that would lead to this kind of a difference of opinion, and we found that there's some commonality, but there have been many cases where there's been a difference of opinion as well, and that's kind of what adds to the spice of the program. And even with the two of you, you've kind of built on each other's perspectives. You've supplemented in some cases. There was some daylight between your perspectives on a particular question. And that's really what this is all about. We can all have friendly debate, and open discussion, and we all should come out on the other side of that better.
So it looks like we have several people that have been joining us, and we've talked about AMAC quite a bit. We've talked about from a DBE and a compliance perspective. But Amy, if you could talk to Amy circa 1975, tell me what you would say to her.
To not be afraid. I was a little afraid of taking on new challenges that seem so big. But if you surround yourself by the right people, and you build partnerships and friendships, it'll all work out. So I was a little hesitant, especially coming to the airport and being given the Code of Federal Regulations. And I thought, I'm not even an attorney, and trying to have the responsibility of making sure that the airport was in compliance with a federal government regulation was really daunting. But I think it's just stepping into the role, taking responsibility, asking questions, and really everything in my career that has gone well is because of the partnerships that I've created and the teamwork. So I think that would be it, is not to be afraid, because I was just a nervous wreck when I first would be given a new assignment, and it was totally out of my knowledge base, and I knew nothing about it. So it's to be brave, step out there.
Thank you. And you got out of character there for a second, because you were supposed to be talking to your younger self, but instead you were talking as you. It's all good. I got the message, and that's all that matters.
Just not to be afraid.
Yeah.
Let's ask Rochell to talk to herself in 2050.
Thank you, Ricky, because that's where I was going.
Go for it.
We're getting back. We're getting some synergies back, Ricky. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, 2050. Okay, how old will I be then? So I would say, remember that you are born, there's a dash, and then you die. So how you complete those moments in that dash is what is important. So make sure that everything you're doing is with purpose. So when you look back over your life in 2050, you can really say you've made a difference. So that is what I would be saying. Did I make a difference?
So I'm going to push on that a little bit. Will you be asking yourself if you made a difference, or will you be saying you made a difference?
Hopefully I would have made a difference. I think with what I'm doing right now, I am going to make a difference. So, but I definitely, that is the overall goal, is to make a difference.
All right. Okay.
And this new chapter is just starting. So you're still on page 1 right now. So we're excited to see you fill in all of those pages. I don't know where Ricky's gonna be in 2050. I don't know where I'm gonna be in 2050, but let's say 2035. Let's come back. Have you on a 2045. Have you on the legend side, and let's see where we filled in.
Yeah, maybe I have some Amy marks by then.
There you go. I love it.
The last question I have is, did Ramon fall off the cliff?
No, he's here.
I'm here.
There you go.
I'm here.
There you go.
I'm here.
There you go. All right.
I'm just waiting to see when you're going to wrap it up so I can jump in and take us home.
All right. Take us home.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lauryn and Ricky. And most of all, thank you to Amy and Rochelle. I know. Calm down. You and your Sean John tie. You feel so empowered with the Sean John tie. I got you. But thank you to everyone who's attended. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our hosts. And this has been an inspiring talk all around. I'm sure many in the audience can walk away and with some form of learning from this conversation. But most of all, learning of the conference is going to be on August 3rd to the 7th in Nashville at the Grand Hyatt with our wonderful partners, Nashville International Airport. Please go to amac-org.com/annual conference. And from there, you can choose from any number of sponsorships. You can register and all that good stuff. And with that, I want to say thank you to everyone. And
wait, Ramon, there is some local events coming up.
Oh, let's talk about them. Go ahead, Lauryn.
I believe there is a local chapter event with Denver. So if anyone is tuning in in that region area, feel free to tap in. I know we have a lot of new members on the line and joining while we're actively doing Legends and Leapers. So definitely make sure you're tapping in with all the events we have going on a national level and also on a local level if you are a part of your local chapter.
Ah, thank you, Lauryn. See, this is why we need women in the world, right? Right, Ricky?
Right, Ricky?
Yeah.
No, that Lauryn has a great point. Go to our event calendar on the website, and from there you will see a lot of events that are both in-person and virtual, like Lauryn mentioned. In particular, she mentioned the an event for Penny May that's being hosted by the Denver chapter. Also, our Baltimore / Washington DC chapter is going to be hosting an event as well. Just go to our events calendar and you can see all those events listed. A lot of them free. You just need to register. But the Penny May event there is a fee involved, and you can see that when you go to the page. So I think we're good, right, Lauryn? We're good. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon. Have a great week.
Everyone be safe.
Bye. Thank you. Have a good one.
Great panel. And you too, Lauryn. Yeah.